yeah, let's see how this goes. God, yo. Yep, right there. XL Michael. Holy shit. Holy crap. Yo. This theater is packed. I swear to God, chat. Yes. What a movie. The story continues. Alright, boys, so I just got out of seeing the Michael Jackson movie. It was a pretty crazy crowd, and all I can say about this movie is that it was probably the most fun I had in the movie theater in a while. Like, I did have some fun with the Mario Galaxy movie, but Michael, bruh, I have never had this much fun in a movie theater in my entire life. Like, there was a lot of clapping, there was lots of cheering, and oh my god, the songs. Oh my god, the songs, bro. Probably the songs are literally the best part of the whole movie. Like, it was beautiful. So yeah, but it does have some flaws, but we'll talk about that when we get home. Alright, so I'm gonna try to be a little bit as quick as I can because I am kinda a little tired right now, but so I just got home from seeing the new Michael Jackson biopic, simply titled Michael. And what can I say? I mean, it was a... Alright, I'm gonna say it. 3, 2, 1. It was great. It was awesome. Like, seriously, bro. It was like the most fun I've ever had watching a biopic in my entire life. Because I usually get bored with biopics. Although there were a few times where I was very locked in, like Straight Outta Compton, but whatever. So yeah, the film tells the life of Michael Jackson. Well, actually not really his entire life, but only about half of it. The movie ends in the year 1988. So yeah. So yeah, the movie was pretty great. It was actually great. Like, it was a great experience overall. Like, I saw the film in IMAX for a more premium, and let me tell you, the experience was so experimentally awesome. Like, seriously, bro. There was so many Michael Jackson fanboys in my theater. My theater was literally sold out. Like, it was a sold out event. Everyone was there. People were ready to see the GOAT, the king of pop. So, yeah. So, let's start things off with the story. Now, the story, I mean, it means life of Michael Jackson until 1980. Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ. Why did I burp on camera? So, yeah. So, the film in the story, it chronicles Michael Jackson's life from 1968, I believe. 1964 to 1988. And let me just say that I am pretty sorry to say this to you guys, but even though that this was a pretty great movie, it still has some flaws. Now, the biggest issue that I have with the Michael Jackson movie is that the story was bad. Like, really bad. Like, the story is the worst part of the whole movie. Like, it's barely even telling the story. Like, it just feels like an entire 2-hour YouTube music playlist, rather than just telling an actual story. Like, it tries so hard to be, cramming as much songs as possible just to please the fan base, but where's the story? Like, Straight Outta Compton had story, but Michael didn't have that much story. Like, it's all gone. I mean, really, the only thing I learned was story being bad. Yeah. However, despite the story not being great or good, there are still some things I liked about it. I liked I loved the cinematography. The cinematography is excellent. And it's actually And the story, it actually sometimes feels good, but sometimes it really doesn't. Like, and there are some scenes in the story where I actually almost cried. Like, I'm not gonna say much due to spoilers, but it is pretty heartbreaking. And if you're gonna ask, I mean, technically no, but yes. I mean, I guess some people died, but it's not Michael. But I mean, because the film is set like years before he died, but so yeah, I'm not gonna say much due to spoilers, but yeah, it's pretty sad. And another good thing about the story is that I was actually able to learn something. I learned one thing from watching Michael. Joe Jackson, Michael Jackson's dad, was a jerk. Yup. I was today years old when I found out that Michael Jackson's dad was probably the biggest asshole of the entire film. He clearly just cares about money and fame. Sometimes family, but most of the time all he cares about is just money and fame. And can we at least don't get me started on that one scene in the opening. I'll screw it. Like there's a scene in the opening where Michael Jackson's dad, Joseph, he literally whips out the belt and spanks the living crap out of Michael. Like, yeah, it was pretty traumatizing. It was pretty crazy to watch. Yeah, and the crowd was like, "No, oh no." Yeah, it was pretty questionable and also pretty shocking. And what makes it ironic is that in the Adrian's Funniest Moments Michael Jackson movies, Joe is portrayed as a chill guy. But actually, he's actually just a jerk this whole time. He's just one big meanie this whole time. Jesus. So yeah, the story has lots of flaws, but it was able to make up for it for a lot of, locked in scenes, and I was able to learn one thing. So overall, the story gets a 4 out of 10. I mean, it's just a YouTube playlist rather than a story. Alright, now, I know that right now I'm tearing this film apart, but this is the part where I start to be nice to the movie. So, it's time to talk about the characters. The characters are excellent. Simply excellent. And they are all done right. Well, most of them are done right, but there are a few ones that are noticeably absent. Like, there are a few family members in the Jackson family that are noticeably absent, which is kinda strange. Like, that's the only flaw that I have of the characters. Like, there are some members of the Jackson family that are noticeably missing from the crowd. All I see was the Jackson 5, one sister, and 2 parents. And that's all I saw. Now, this is where I start to go beautiful, absolute cinema to the film. Jafar Jackson's performance as Michael Jackson. You know what makes this crazier too is that Jafar is actually Michael Jackson's nephew. Yep, he got the part. Remember in Straight Outta Compton where they got Ice Cube's son to play his dad in Straight Outta Compton? Well, the history book on the shelf always repeats itself because Jafar Jackson, Michael Jackson's nephew, is starring as his own uncle in a Michael Jackson movie. And his performance was freaking excellent. He freaking nailed it. Like, it was extremely well done. Like, he captured the spirit of Michael. He acts like Michael. He moves his dance moves are exactly like Michael's. And he even sounds like Michael. Like, I was actually amazed by how beautiful his performance was. Like, it was just as amazing as Ice Cube's and Eazy-E's performance in Straight Outta Compton, with Jason Mitchell and O'Shea Jackson Sr. Or no, O'Shea Jackson Jr. And then there's also Michael Jackson's mom, Catherine, who is still alive today at 95, by the way. Yeah, that's actually amazing. Like, I'm actually very impressed. And I gotta say that Michael Jackson's mom in this movie was also done right. Like, she was literally a chill person in front of Michael and just keep him all alive during all the tough times. Like, it was pretty nice to watch. Unlike Joseph. Yeah, Michael Jackson's dad, yeah, he's literally the biggest turd ever. But they actually did his character right in the film. because I wasn't even aware that this guy was a big jerk. Like I kind of knew he was a jerk, but I didn't realize that he was a big jerk until watching this movie. So yeah, pretty shocking. And if you're wondering about the rest of the Jackson 5, their performances are also pretty good. Oh, and by the way, guys, Mike Myers makes a cameo in the film. Yes. Mike Myers, yes, the voice of Shrek and the Cat in the Hat. Yep, the Cat in the Hat makes a cameo in the Michael Jackson movie, but it's not actually the Cat in the Hat. It's actually Mike Myers. But hey, the good thing is that he didn't dress up as Michael as the Cat in the Hat. Otherwise, I probably would have walked out of the theater. But hey, I digress. And then there was also Michael Jackson's older sister, Latoya, which was not in the movie that much, but I mean, she wasn't in the movie that much. She was only there for like 5 minutes, and that was it. But I guess it's fine. And there was also Michael Jackson's manager and talent manager, not Joseph. I mean, he got fired. Yeah, spoiler, he got fired. But yeah, I forgot his name, but his performance was pretty good. Alright, enough about the characters. The characters are a solid 8.5 out of 10. Alright, now for the last thing I'll talk about for this video is that it's the songs. Oh man, the songs. The songs are the reasons why the story sucked. Because there was just way too many songs, random musical numbers just happening all at once. It's just pure insanity. So, but they were all still great nonetheless. And they even did a remake of the Thriller music video, which was so awesome to watch. Like I was in the edge of my seat, literally watching Jafar Jackson do what his uncle did back in the 80s. Like it was peak. And they also did a recreation of that Motown 25 thing from 1980 something. I mean, I do remember it, but it's where he did the moonwalk for the first time in front of a crowd, and the crowd went nuts. Yeah, maybe it was like 1983. Yeah, maybe 1983, but seriously, bro, the moonwalk scene was peak. And then there was also his performance of Human Nature, which I also enjoyed. And there was also Bad, which Bad was the last song in the movie. Like, after the Bad performance ended, the movie ended. Yep, immediately after the Bad performance, the movie just ends. Like, directed by. Like, it just ends. But before the movie ended, it had a message that said, his story continues. So you guys know that there's already going to be a sequel coming soon. So that's why the movie felt pretty short. Because there's already a sequel coming soon. So that's going to be interesting. Oh, and if you're wondering about my thoughts on the scenes with the Jackson 5 performances at the beginning, oh, they were also pretty fun, especially the one with ABC. That was peak. And there was also a lot of other ones, which I forgot the songs names of, but they were pretty fire to watch. And yep, that's all I really have to say about this movie. So, overall, Michael is basically a crowd pleaser that delivers. Yes, this movie did it way better than I did back in 2021. Like, it was actually a lot better than I expected it to be. I mean, I was kind of expecting the film to be, to range from, like, okay to mediocre because of judging what the critics were saying. But this is one of those examples where I just don't give a crap of what the critics were saying. Aside the story. I mean, they were right with the story. The story is very sanitized. But everything else about it was great. And the crowd tonight was extremely packed. Like, my theater was packed with Michael Jackson fanboys and girls. And there was also this one dude sitting next to me, and he was such a chill guy. Like, we actually bonded throughout the movie, which is actually pretty fun. So yeah, I'll never forget that experience when I watched Michael on opening day. It was beautiful. By the way, guys, if you're wondering about the IMAX thing I said at the beginning, well, they actually have this thing called Epic XL, which is kind of similar to IMAX. So yeah, I saw the film in XL, and it was a much cooler experience. So overall, while the film does have an extremely bad story, or a pretty bad story, Michael still delivered as a really great biopic. I mean, it was close to being a 9 out of 10, but hey, it doesn't really matter. So here's my breakdown. Story, 4 out of 10. The story is the worst part of the movie, as it feels like an entire YouTube playlist rather than just telling the story. The characters, oh yeah, the characters are a solid 8 out of 10. While Jafar Jackson's performance was probably the best part of the whole film, Catherine Jackson was also great. The rest just feel like random one-time characters that just pop up for like one scene. Well, I mean, there was also Joseph Jackson and the talent manager, but everything else was just there for like a few scenes and that was it. But it doesn't really matter. And the musical numbers are a 9. Solid 9. Like seriously, bro. This is where all the fun was at. So overall, I'm going to be giving Michael or the Michael Jackson movie or Michael a solid 7.8 out of 10. Yep, the movie is a 7.8 out of 10. Yep, this movie is just 1 point better than the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Yep, a Michael Jackson movie actually beat Mario Galaxy. Crazy, I know. So yeah, this movie is if you are a huge fan of Michael Jackson and really want to see this, then go see it now. You are definitely going to love this film. And what makes it cooler is that the Michael Jackson movie was actually my first time experiencing a biopic in theaters. Which usually biopics I just wait for them to come out on streaming, but Michael Jackson I can't resist. So yeah, it was a pretty great movie. I mean, it does have a bad story, but everything else was great. So yep, that was my pretty short review on Michael. And yep, I'll see you guys real soon. Bye.